Hey everybody, welcome to my first ever guide on SWTOR. This has been kind of requested by some of you guys, so I thought I might as well make it. This is going to be a long video, so I'm going to make this, try to keep this train rolling. Um, this is strictly going to be covering the Concealment class for PvP. The first thing I'm going to be going over is the actual tree itself. So, that's the wrong button. Proficiencies. I'll be going over the discipline path, and then I'll be going over the utilities that you can use. So the first one is laceration. So it requires a tactical advantage to use, and it is a two-way hit. So 1, 2. The first one does a lot of damage. The second one does about a minor amount of damage. That's just the first one. You get level 10, level 12. It just increases the critical chance of noxious knives, and its critical damage bonus by 30%. So that's your noxious knives right there. It is an AOE. It fires fires right in front of you, just in front of you. That's it. Kind of bit to the side, but not as much. So that's all that is. Collateral strike is basically the second part of laceration. And when you're in PvE, it'll stun standard and weak opponents for a little bit, for about 3 to 4 seconds. So it'll actually I think it might be 2 seconds. I could be wrong about that. I need to go check again. But it's not for PvP. It's just it doesn't stun them. It just only standard weak NPCs. Tactical opportunity, you get level 20. Collateral strike immediately grants tactical advantage when hitting a poison target. This effect cannot occur more than once every 10 seconds. So what this means is, so you have two poisoned attacks. Basically, you have corrosive dart and you have backstab, which gives you acid blade right here. So if I hit right here and go for uh, the laceration because he was poisoned, I get one right back. So then you're able to use another one right there. So that's all that does, and it's pretty good. Refunds it. I liked it. I like to use it. So this one's scouting, increases your stealth detection level by 5 and chance to dodge by 2%. So it's just like a small utility thing. Whenever you're stealth, it increases your stealth detection levels. So that's pretty neat. Crippling Slice, basically this ability roots your opponent. By rooting, I mean it literally just like where they can't move. Like it just immobilizes them, and they're not able to look around or even move. They're just like stuck in place. And that's pretty useful to use when if someone's trying to run away. As long as they don't have a movement impairing ability that they're having, like a sorcerer using force speed, it won't work on that. But other than that, um, when you click it, it immobilizes it, and they won't move for 4 seconds. So it's pretty useful to have if you're trying to get away from people or just try to get behind them and attack where they can't hit you at all. Now you get culling, increase the damage dealt by laceration, and collateral strike in 5%. In addition, when collateral strike damages a target, you recover 2 energy. So it just refunds you a little bit of energy from the attack, and it increases your laceration, the damage. So that's pretty good. Now this one I like a lot, especially paired with concealment. And one of the utilities I have, basically, it just when you activate countermeasures, it will give you a speed boost. So that's cool. So you can kind of, if you're trying to run away from people or trying to get away from a place, say you have a gang squad following you, you can kind of run. It's useful for that kind of thing. Or if you're trying to rush to a pylon in an objective zone, if you're trying to go anywhere really, that's pretty good to have. Um, so then there's that. Um, Next is the acid blade. Now, when I said backstab gives you acid blade, you get at 36. So this is uh right, backstab. That's the acid blade right there. So that's what it is. It comes from that ability. Increases your armor penetration by 30% for 15 seconds. So basically, all of the damage that you do in a 15-second time, this is acid blade. It'll be your stuff will be increased by 30%, which is pretty good. Waylay increases the damage dealt by backstab by 5% and reduces its energy cost by 5. So again, just kind of buffs backstab. A lot of these just buff each other, to be honest. Volatile substance. This ability places a substance onto your opponent, um, and whenever it pops, it reacts with poison. You can't. It doesn't just automatically detonate. At least not without the tactical. But I'll go with that in a second. Um, so if you were to use it, you would need corrosive dart to kind of set it off. There it is, set off. You can also set it off with acid blade too. So if you were to do backstab and then volatile substance, it can do it. It can react that way as well. So there's that. Let's see. So yeah, And when it pops, it leaves the revealing weakness and assailable, or just assailable only, and it kind of just makes them more susceptible to damage. So it just kind of increases your damage, lowers their armor, which is pretty nice. Um, 44 increases the damage dealt and critical chance of volatile substance, so it kind of buffs it. Laceration deals 10% more damage to targets affected by your acid blade. So whenever you do backstab and you would go veiled strike, laceration, you can do it twice. It does more damage that way. It's pretty nice when it doesn't miss like that, but I digress. Now, next one, Shadow Operative Elite increases your effective stealth level by 2. Basically, it's just the rolling ability. So what it is whenever you roll, you get these two little buffs, and basically until it's over, you are fully immune and invulnerable to all attacks, all stuns, and basically virtually all damage. It's not when the animation ends though; it's when this ends. So if you see an operative rolling, and like they're just finished, they're still gonna have that extra second. Now, what some people kind of do, some operatives, really a lot of them, the more experienced ones, they'll kind of find like an object really close by to them, or like say a box or a wall, and they'll kind of roll off of it so that the animation ends a lot sooner, and so you have that extra window to do extra things. So you roll into the wall, you're able to like apply a volatile substance really quickly, right there. Just pop it like that. So whenever I pop it, I have that extra second of immunity and invulnerability. And that's pretty big to dueling, to kind of mitigating damage that you take. Um, if there's like a bomb on you, like a power tech, and it's about to tick, you can roll it and it'll do no damage. You're literally immune to all damage for the time that it's on you, and you get two of them. Next one is meticulously kept blades. Increases the critical damage dealt by Veiled Strike, Backstab, Volatile Substance, and Laceration, so it buffs these four abilities, which is pretty cool. Veiled Strike, it just replaces Shiv. Um, it's kind of a similar animation, but it's like, of course, it's different, but it kind of works in a similar way. Pretty similar, actually. Um, Calculated Frenzy, it just increases your range and tech critical chance by 10%. And then damage dealt by Veil Strike, they're susceptible for 5 seconds. They take 5% more damage from tech attacks. So it just like makes them more vulnerable to attack. So if you were to do Volatile Substance and then Veiled Strike, if it doesn't miss like that, that's unfortunate. Let me get that back. So they have both of these, susceptible and assailable. So they're taking from tech damage, and elemental and internal attacks. They're taking a lot more damage increased. So just a way to increase your damage. Um, and it's natural too once you have the tactical that I have. I'll show you guys in a second. So that's done. Now surgical strikes increases the damage of a Veil Strike and overload shot by 5%. So it buffs Veil Strike. And revealing weakness. So this one I really like. So basically, when you do your volatile substance, it'll mark him with revealing weakness that you might have seen earlier, and basically allows your next backstab to be used, um, from face to face at target or anywhere, and it acts as if you did it from stealth because the damage is different. So if you ambush someone while unstealth, it'll do not as much damage as you would if you weren't stealth. However, with revealing weakness, it'll make it to where you were in stealth. So you don't have to like be behind them. You can do it face to face, and you get the full damage out of it. So I like that. I like that pretty well. Um, all right, for this next part, I'm going to be going over the utilities, every single one of them. I'm going to be resetting this. This is the ones that I use personally, but I'm still going to go over everything else. So we're going to go ahead and reset. And so basically, the Nanotech suit allows you to take less damage from AoE attacks. So such as classes that rely on cleave, such as like lethality, pyrotech, madness in some cases. Basically, any source of AoE damage, you have 30% damage that is you're protected from, taken by 30% less. Um, Camera resistant inlays increases damage reduction by 5%. It's just cool to have. It mitigates damage by 5%. It's not huge, but it is just cool to have. Imperial weaponry, noxious knives deal 25% more damage, so it just buffs your noxious knives. Not that big, at least with concealment. You'd want to use noxious knives more with lethality, so it's better for that. Hit and run, striking a target with Shiv or Veil Strike grants hit and run, so I'll show you guys that one. So basically, you can just shiv them, and you get a speed boost, and you can kind of run. It's good to run away from people. It's nice to have, and if you pair it with Countermeasures, if you have this one, which I'll go over in a second, you can also run it really fast. So there's that. So then you have Slip Away, reduces the cooldown debilitate by 15 seconds. So instead of it being around a minute, it's only 42 seconds. It'd be 57 without it, but because of this, 15 seconds. Now it's 42 seconds. So Infiltrator, increase movement speed by 50% and effect level by 3%. Actually, it's even less, 30 seconds. So from 45 to 30. Pretty nice. Okay, so increase movement speed by 50% and effective stealth level by 3%. It just buffs your stealth a little bit, kind of like how, kind of like this one. It just stealth detection level to detect people and chance to dodge by 2%. Um, it just increases your stealth level by 3, movement speed by 15. It's nice to have. Um, you don't need to have it though. I don't have it. Okay, so reset this. So I'm gonna go over these three. Okay, so for the Masterful, Advanced Cloaking reduces the cooldown of Cloaking Screen by 30 seconds, and activating Cloaking Screen increases movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So it just gives you a speed boost. So when you cloak out, you're able to get that speed boost and kind of run away from the environment. So it's not that essential to have, but it's like it's good if you're kind of in regs and you kind of need to get away from there. You can cloak out a lot quicker, a lot sooner. It means you can heal. Solo ranked, it means you can heal too. Then you have the Met Shield. So your shield probe heals you for 5% of your maximum health when it collapses. So mine is personally 286,000. So if I were to take that, I would get about 14,000 HP back when it collapses. So it's not overly much, but it can help in a lot of scenarios. Adrenaline Probe now immediately restores 15 additional energy. It just kind of buffs this, reduces more, it gets more energy for you. Fortified Kulto, when your Kulto Probe is active on yourself, the damage reduction is increased by 3% per stack. So you can stack 2 of them, and if you're good about keeping your probes up, you'll get 6% along with the 5%. So you have 11% damage reduction for the whole entire time you're able to keep these probes up. So it helps you mitigate damage, any source of damage you take 11% less damage from, which is pretty useful. Severed Tendon, it just grants a tactical advantage. Nothing major. This one just slows them down. Good for kiting. And it gives you tactical advantage. Evasive Screen, when activated, Cloaking Screen grants 2 seconds of evasion. So as it says, when you cloak out, you get 2 seconds of evasion. So if I were to cloak out right now, I gotta wait a little bit. You're able to kind of, if there's any AoE going on you, or if you have any dots on you, like a corrosive dart, let's see, an acid blade, anything really, you cloak out and it gets rid of it, and you can kind of get out of the area and go heal and stuff. With this though, it's more worthwhile to kind of, you never want to roll forward when you cloak out. You kind of want to just roll backwards because the opponent will kind of like expect you to do that, to roll forward if they're a good player. They'll put like a stealth scanner right in front of you and get you out of stealth just quickly. So when you stealth out, always kind of roll backwards or kind of roll to the side depending on how fluid your movement can be. So cunning competencies, countermeasures, purges all movement pairing effects. So when you have it on, if you're rooted by, say, in this class, crippling slice, you're able to do countermeasures it and it purges it, and it gives you also it buffs your sleep dart. So when you're stealth and you decide to CC an opponent with the sleep dart, when that dart runs out, it'll lower their damage dealt by 50% for the next 10 seconds. Pretty useful in duels and PvP. PvP, it's useful, but not so much because there isn't all too often you're out of combat that the person you're going after is going to be out of combat, unless you're like guarding a pylon or something, or guarding something objectively. They're not going to really be out of combat really much. So it's useful to have then, but mainly you want it for countermeasures, the purging and movement pairing effects in PvP regs. Jarring Strike, when you use some stealth, backstab and lethal strike, and interrupt and knock the target down for 3 seconds. Player targets are mobilized for 3 seconds rather than being knocked down. So this one is really good to pair when you have revealing weakness, because so when your volatile substance pops, it makes it as if your next backstab is from stealth. When you have it this way, it also does the same effect. So when you use some stealth, backstab, it'll knock them down, and not knock them down, but it'll interrupt regular players and immobilize them for 3 seconds. With revealing weakness, they kind of connect with each other, so it'd be the same exact thing. So if I were to do volatile substance, veiled strike, and then backstab, it'll root them down despite me not being in stealth. It's pretty nice to have in duels and PvP when you're trying to fight someone. It's nice to have to kind of root them down a little bit. Um, I like it, so I run with it mostly in PvP. So now let's see. So now we have evasive imperative. So every time you get attacked, the active cooldown of your evasion is reduced by 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. So basically, you kind of treat it as if it's like a grit teeth for a jug. When they have grit teeth, every time they get attacked, they're not every second, but there's a cooldown, of course. It lowers the cooldown of your ranged defenses. This is kind of like it is too. It reduces the cooldown of evasion by 3 seconds. So if you're constantly getting attacked, you can get evasion in a matter of like 30 seconds, 35 seconds, 40 seconds maybe. It's pretty useful to have for that. Escape plan reduces the cooldown of escape by 30 seconds, shield probe by 5 seconds, and infiltrate. So reduces the cooldown of your breaker, your shield probe, and your infiltrate, which is the AoE cloak. Now, circumvention reduces the cooldown of Holo Traverse by 10 seconds and allows it to be used while immobilized. So naturally, if you're trying to Holo Traverse kind of just teleports to an opponent or an ally, and it increases your movement speed. So if you're like trying to run away from somewhere or something, you can kind of cloak to your or Holo Traverse to your ally and get out of the area. However, if you're immobilized, you aren't able to do that. But since you have, if you have this one, it'll do it when you're able to. Since it's a 45-second cooldown, it's not gonna be that important to use. There'd be some environments where it's nice to have, like it's like it'll save you sometimes, but it's not like something that like is gonna help you all the time. It's not gonna help you that much. So I wouldn't recommend doing this one. Mobile strategies. Exfiltrate grants a charge of mobile strategies, reducing the energy cost of your next overload shot by 100%. So whenever you roll, it'll buff your energy shot or your overload shot, and it'll knock them back directly. So just think of it as just like a knockback, but it's not an AOE. It's just a direct knockback. So um, I'm never gonna do this one unless I'm trying to I'm just trying to knock people off places in PvP. Because there's this one specific operative they use it, and they're able to actually knock people off bridges and Void Star, knock people off areas of Hypergate or anything, help ball platforms, anything. They can knock anyone back. It's pretty useful for that, but in terms of like fighting, it's not going to be that worth it. You can keep people away from you, but if you're keeping people away from you, you're not going to be able to be fighting because you're a melee. So Revitalizers, Stim Boost now additionally grants Revitalizers, restoring 5% total health for 3 seconds. So it gives your Stim Boost will grant you health, and it also will reduce the damage you take for 20%. So if you like take a 50k hit, you're gonna take 10k less from that. It's 20%, so it's good to have for that. Reduces the damage you take, and if you also have your probes up, you take Fortified Kolto, Chem Resistant Inlays, and you also have this, you'll have a 31% reduced damage taken for the duration of the Stim Boost. And if you plus it with Adrenal, you'll also have about a 46% damage reduction. So it makes you really tanky, like really tanky. So it's really good to have for that, especially if you have your shield probe as well. So next one is Curative Agent. I'll show you what that does. Curative Agent. Whenever you activate countermeasures, it'll allow you to place 2 Kolto probes on any target. So instead of having to, remotely do 1, 2, it automatically does 2 of them. And it also gives you 10% healing over 10 seconds. So it gives you 1% health every second. And it also makes your Kolto Infusion heal you for a burst and also periodically. So you also need a tactical advantage for Kolto Infusion. So you use it. It gives you about 21,000. And it also does periodic damage, periodic healing rather. So it's a lot of healing. It's a lot of healing you can have for this one for Curative Agent. It can get you up there when you're losing health a lot. Augmented Shields increases the amount of damage absorbed by Shield Probe by 30%. So naturally, it does about 27,000. Actually, it's a little buffed right now. Yeah, 27,000 it does. 30%. Let's do some math here. It's going to be about 36,000. About around 36,000, 37,000. So it buffs your shield probe. It's not that much. I wouldn't use it for concealment. Blow for blow. So activating evasion grants blow for blow, returning 150% damage of direct single target tech and force damage tech taken back to the attacker where evasion is active. So it's kind of like a reflective shield that juggernauts have. um, it's only tech and force attacks. So it's kind of like in the way that force bound works, where um, how force bound only it reduces the accuracy of force and tech attacks, not melee hits. So if you're going against a marauder, the blow for blow won't work really unless they do like raging burst on you since it's a force attack. That's the only environment of which it will work. It's still very, very, very useful to have. You definitely don't want to be on the opposing end of it because you do take 150% of the damage back. So if someone deals about 50,000 damage to you, and you reflect it, they're gonna get about 75,000 back to them. However, keep in mind you still take damage from it, but your opponent will take much more than you just did. So it's you really don't want to hit into it. So remember, set all this. Go for the ones that I use. Go this one, these three, and then these bottom two, three. So this is the ones I use for PvP only. Um, you can kind of Jarring Strike is good for PvP, but I also like having Fortified Kolto because, to be honest, being an operative really like puts a target on you because people just generally don't really like operatives because they are very hard to kill. So having the 11% flat damage reduction makes you even tankier. So that's the utilities that I'm going to be using. Yeah. Okay, hey guys. So this next segment in the video, I decided to kind of move everything into like an organizational kind of a way. This is just going to be me explaining the abilities, and then the next one I will show you the rotation that I use personally. So your defensive cooldowns are gonna be these nine right here. You have your stim boost, which grants you alacrity, and it gives you a tactical advantage. Your shield probe, which protects you from 24,000 health, with cooldowns 30 seconds. Your cloaking screen, your stealth out, your tactical overdrive, which will reset your stim boost, your shield probe, and your volatile substance to reset those three. And it also increases your mastery. This is your evasion, which allows you to evade oncoming attacks increases your chance by 200% for the next 3 seconds. Your Culto Infusion, which is your self healing. Your countermeasures, um, which allows you to kind of it just reduces your the threat that you have towards you. And paired with the utility, it allows you to break from movement and pairing objects, and it also gives you a speed boost. Your Culto probes are just things that periodically heal you up. Here they are. They have about 16 seconds that they're on you. Actually 18 seconds, and it gets like up twice. You can do it to anyone you want. Obviously, no, not your opponents. Give it to Scorpio if you wanted. Um, they just heal over time, and then your diagnostic scans also heal over time, but you don't really use it too much. Those are your defensive cooldowns. Your stuns are right here. I included the crippling slice because, in a way, it can act like as a stun because it roots the opponent. So you have your debilitate. You have your which stuns them for 4 seconds. If you have two, you can do 8 seconds as long as they don't have resolve bar building. Your flashbang, which will see them for about 8 seconds, which is cleansable by toxic scan. Um, so if one of your allies is flashbanged, you can cleanse that, or if you're flashbang and you have an operative or anyone that can cleanse tech attacks, that'll work and it'll take off the effect. You have your crippling slice, which, like I said, will root the opponent, and then you have your sleep dart that you can put your opponent to sleep um, for about let's see for it puts you to sleep for 60 it puts your opponent to sleep. For regular people, it's like 6 to 8 seconds, so it's a pretty good stun. Allows you to heal off yourself. So those are your stuns you have. Um, and then your utility. This is like kind of a utility kind of thing, at least for me. Just something that you can use. You cleanse people, the exfiltrate. You have the Hall Traverse, the breaking, the Adrenaline Probe, and the Distraction, which is the interrupt. Those are like the kind of like the abilities that like are just like extra, I guess, in a way. Except, I mean, this is kind of imperative. They all are very important in their own way, but I wouldn't classify them much as a DCD or like an offensive attack. To kind of just like things that can like assist you. Um, So this is your offensive stuff. You have your backstab, your volatile substance, failed strike, your laceration, your sever tendon, which will lower the opponent's speed for 50 seconds. So if you're trying to kite away from them, run away, you're able to do that. Corrosive dart, which places a dot on them for 18 seconds. Your grenade, which you can use from long range. I never see myself using this ability, other than the fact that if someone's like really low on HP and they have like maybe 2%, 5% HP, and they're just running away and they have like and you're slowed down and stuff, you can just throw it, kind of Hail Mary that. Overload shot, just a blaster shot. It's not really that important to me, at least. I don't really use it much when you concealment. Your AoE stuff is down here. Your tactical superiority, a 5-minute cooldown. It kind of gives you and your members in your operation, uh, or your ops group rather, uh, a critical chance increased by 10% damage, like a precision kind of thing. Your group members, they have to be within 40 meters. Toxic haze, which surrounds the environment in like a toxic haze, as it says. It'll do damage to them. It'll break people out of stealth that's around you, as long as they don't have that evasion when they cloak out. Nauseous knives, which is an AOE. It hurls knives right in front of you. Um, it could also knock people out of stealth as well. And then you have your infiltrate, which will kind of stealth everybody in your general area for it lasts about 15 seconds. You can get broken out of stealth, but it'll just if you're trying to open up on another team with your team, um, you can uh, you can have the element of surprise there where everyone's stealthed. And then this is something that I use that you don't have to use, but it's like V9 seismic grenades. I only use this in solo ranked because it's like an extra stun. Basically, it just hurls like a seismic grenade on them, and it'll put them to sleep as long as they're not resolve barred, of course, for a couple seconds. And it allows you time to kind of off-heal your ally, or allows your ally to kind of run away if they're being hard focused by somebody. It'll buy extra time for your ally. It's just something that you could use to as an extra CC. It's like another flashbang, except it doesn't last as long, and it doesn't have the flash powder at the end. It's kind of like something like that, to be honest. Um, and so that's the ability going down. Also, you do have the resuscitation probe where you can revive dead teammates, but you don't really do this in PvP. You kind of just use it in PvE. You have your rifle shot, which is just like a long range attack. You could use. No, you don't really use it much, other than the fact that if you're in like an objective Warzone match, um, and someone's about to cap a door or something, you can just shoot them really quickly. That's what I do at least. Um, and that's all the abilities in the class that I'm going to go over. Um, if I didn't go over this one, the distraction, it's just like any other interruption ability that you have for other classes. It's kind of just universal. It just interrupts them. It's good for doing it for healers or whatever, but it's just like a universal ability that every class has. Alright guys, for this next segment, I'm going to be going over the gear I use, and the set and the tactical. Currently, I'm running the Debilitator set, and basically it just allows you to have a faster exfiltrate recharge time by 2 seconds, and you get an extra debilitate charge. So instead of 1, you have 2. It's good for being able to hard stun people, kind of baiting a breaker. It's good for trying to get people off of you. Yeah, that extra stun you can kind of play with. That's the gear that I decided to run. I used to run Tactician. I might still use it sometimes, but basically Tactician is where it's basically where you get an extra stack of tactical advantage. So before 75, you can only get 2, but as a healer you can get 3. But now with this tactical set, you can get 3 now as a concealment operative, and per every tactical advantage, you have your damage increased by 5%. You can get maximum 3 of concealment, so you can get 15%. Now some healers can use this as well. Also for gear, I use tech wizardry, because most of the attacks are based off of tech. Uh, and then the relics, I use the mastery and power relics augmented. I have mastery, power, mainly crit, some alacrity, volatile strike, which I'm sure everyone knows. If you don't, that is the one where every time you let me change this. Every time you use volatile substance, and you hit it, you use Veil Strike right after, it'll pop it, and then it'll make your backstab critically hit, so it can hit up a lot. Fortunately, that didn't hit, but that's all. That's all the tactical does. It's pretty nice. What I'm gonna do right now is show you guys the rotation that I use in the war zones. So what I'll do first is I'll go Volatile Substance, Debilitate, Veiled Strike, Backstab. I'm gonna do Laceration, Laceration. I'm gonna do Veiled Strike, Laceration once more, and I'm gonna put a Corrosive Dart on them. Then head back to them, do Veiled Strike, do Laceration once more. You can root them a little bit. By rooting, I mean like keeping them in place, and then just rinse and repeat basically. It's just basically in that form. You can mix some things into it, such as like the tactical overdrive. I'll show you what it's like to kind of mix that in. Always keep your probes up on you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place a volatile substance on them. I'm gonna do a stim boost, a debilitate, veil strike, backstab, and then hard refresh with the tactical overdrive. Do a volatile substance, and then instantly pop it once more. And that's like a good way to kind of burst the opponent down. Uh, and then if I was faster, I would have been able to get that extra backstab, but it's still critically hit. I wouldn't recommend doing it so much. It's only because uh, you kind of need to use all of your DCDs when you need to, in like solo rank and stuff. But if you're like, in a regs match and like you're trying to get someone down, a healer or just someone you're just trying to global, to be frank, that works really well with them. You also have the other stun, so you can just hard stun them through that whole entire thing that you do, and it can do a lot of damage. Um, so yeah, that's the rotation that I use. That is the gear that I use. It's really depends on the situation. Debilitator is always good for solo ranked and all that. Tactical advantage for tactician's gear. You get the extra damage. One thing I will explain is in solo ranked, it's a little bit different. You kind of want to be able to provide a lot of off healing because it's a 4v4, and if you lose one of your teammates, it's gonna be really detrimental to your team because the other team is up and you're kind of down. So, you can do Culto Infusion to kind of like keep your opponent or your teammates up. Provide a little bit of off healing, kind of get them out of the fight. Um, Sometimes when I'm trying to kite people, I'll use Severed Tendon too. Just throw a little knife at them. You can do Noxious Knives to slow them down even further, but that's the standard rotation that I use, and I like it. It's pretty satisfying to use. So again, Volatile Strike, Volatile Substance, Debilitate, Veiled Strike, and Backstab. Laceration, Laceration, Veiled Strike, Laceration, the Corrosive Dart, Laceration again, Veiled Strike, Laceration, root them down, Volatile Substance, Veiled Strike, boom. A lot of damage right there. It's a lot. So that's all. Okay, so that was my guide for Concealment Operative. This is the first guide I've ever done. I really didn't expect to be doing this. I really didn't expect to be asked to do it. But that was the explanation that I gave. Like I said in the first part, if I had left anything out, um, it's cool if you guys let me know in the comment section. I did ramble quite a bit in the guide. I will work on that. Just leaving out the small stuff and just um, going over the big picture because this was a long video. So if you're watching this part, thank you guys so much for watching this guide. It means a lot to me. It really does. Every comment, it means a lot to me. Um, and I'm glad to have you guys. So with that, I'm gonna head off. So if you guys have any questions, you can just ask me in game or something, or if you leave a comment, cool, it's whatever. Um, but other than that, I hope you guys see you in Regs or whatever. So see ya. Hold on, let me show off the thing first. Okay. So
But
yeah, the
it'd be
overload
great.
shot, bam, bonk, bonk, bonk. No, that's okay. Bonk.